My people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 12 of Behind Enemy Lines. This title of this episode is Republican or RINOS using Democrat tactics. We're going to go into that. I've got a couple of guests with me today. We'll meet them in a few minutes. Just some announcements to start the show. So Terry is on assignment. It's all good news. For those of you who think we're some Mickey Mouse political movement, starting in January, Terry will be guest hosting America's Mom podcast on the Lindell Network. And next week, Terry will be at America Fest with Charlie Kirk. He will be meeting with OAN, Newsmax, RSBN, Steve Bannon's network. He's going to name names, and he's going to expose every rhino who's abusing their power, from the chairman of the Republican organization to the township assessor, and especially the sheriff. And we will be sharing all of this nationally syndicated content with our audience and spreading it as far and wide as we can. Okay, so today we've got a great episode for you. We are going to be sharing a video of leadership meeting exposing a shocking abuse of power. Go figure, after some of the experiences we've already had with local political officials, right, guys? Okay, so I want to reiterate that I'm running for the chairman of the Downers Grove Township Republican Organization, and here are the reasons. I'm going to read them to you here. So we have communists in the Democrat Party in Illinois who are violating our free speech, our Second Amendment, our parental rights, our safety with cashless bail. They grow government, giving public unions and state employees, who make up 7% of the population, state constitutional authority, which is insane. It's what communists do. And they're centralizing power and cutting out the citizen from the democratic process. So we've got to put an end to that. We've now come to realize establishment Republicans are a uniparty who want to participate in the liberal communist agenda. This all started with Scott Melrose to my right trying to censure county board Republicans for donating to Democrats, including Kim Foxx, a radical George Soros elected district attorney. Terry and I were censored after receiving standing ovations for standing up for the committeeman's right to speak. Terry was threatened by law enforcement for speaking against public officials. We have that evidence. State police were sent to his house to harass and intimidate he and his family for political speech in America. A doxing packet of Terry Newsom was created with consent of DGTRO leadership and public officials. It included all of Terry's family's information, including his children, and also included sex offenders within his neighborhoods so as to attempt to associate Terry with sex offenders. These are your public officials, your elected officials, your law enforcement officers in DuPage County, so-called Republicans. So-called Republicans. Security tape footage showing the parties responsible was obtained. The sheriff of DuPage County was directed by the chairman to harass and intimidate other committeemen for exposing the corruption of Republican leadership and public officials in their effort to smear and destroy Terry's reputation. I'm running to give the committeemen a voice in the democratic process. You start building the house with the foundation. This is the committeemen. Their voice should be central in the democratic process. They should not be dictated to, but included in the molding and formation of candidates. They should be supported when they speak against the indoctrination of our children. Terry and I want to give those people a voice. It's time for new leadership. It's time for a new approach. It's time to take back Illinois. It starts with the township organizations We're going to start from the bottom. We're going to start from the foundation. We're going to build up because there is no Republican leadership in Illinois. They're not fighting against the communist agenda, but we got the guts to do it. And so do these guys right here and all the other committeemen who want a voice. So we're going to give it to them. All right. So I'm going to start with a brief intro of the gentleman sitting next to me, Downers Grove Township Republican Organization Committeeman Jeff Mack and Scott Melrose. Scott, this is your first time on the show. You want to go ahead?
Sure, thank you, Paul.
Background, and
we appreciate you
else.
inviting me and allowing me to share the story of the genesis of all that's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
And boy, we've learned a lot this year.
Yeah.
One of my sayings is experience is something you get when you were expecting something else.
Right.
And we've gotten a lot of experience this year.
There's no doubt about that. And Jeff, you want to just reintroduce yourself to the audience and tell us why you're here again.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back. This is, I think, my fourth appearance on your show.
You're
which,
a veteran.
You keep asking me back. So
Give this guy a contract, Jason Lynn.
yeah. So Mary just tells me not to let it go to my head. You know, but,
Well, welcome back. All right.
Well, thank
so,
you.
I want to get into the nitty gritty of this. Scott, I appreciate you coming. The reason that we invite you here today is because this whole thing started because there were some Republicans in our county, DuPage County, who had donated to Democrats, including the radical Soros-elected district attorney Kim Foxx. So Scott was the one who had the guts to call this out. Scott, you want to just give us a little bit about that story and how it started?
Sure. This actually goes all the way back to April. When I saw a report from a local publication that indicated a couple of Republican figures had donated to the Democrat president of our county board. And I thought that was a little strange. And then also along with it, I saw a report that the chairman of the DuPage County Republican Party had actually sent this disparaging email to anyone who had contacted him with concerns, telling that they aren't real Republicans, that we're supposed to be a big tent, as if the dispute were over some kind of policy issue.
Wait a minute. Let me. I just need to hear that one more time. Now, you're saying that he was called out for donating to Democrats, and he was indignant in his response. And
Well,
said
the chairman of the DuPage County Republican Party was replying with disparaging emails to any Republicans who contacted him expressing a concern over it.
So the chairman was admonishing Republicans who were concerned about other Republicans donating to Democrats.
Correct.
I can't imagine why people be concerned about something like that.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
And I didn't really connect all the dots until at our May meeting, when one of our elected officials was giving a long-winded, rambling rant, and then started bragging about some victories we had victories in his mind we had at the county board level, and he was rattling off some names of Republicans who got subcommittee chairs that would have to be approved by majority Democrats, and all of a sudden I recognized one of those names. Wait a minute. Isn't that the same guy that was one of those who donated to the Democrat official?
It sounds to me, Scott, if I may interject for a second, it sounds to me like you may be describing something we call in the business pay for play.
Yes, and actually I was going to save that later, and the person who really nailed that one is Chick later on in the story, and I don't
She'll
know that
be with us later.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll get that far in my explanation. So anyway, my blood pressure shot to like 300 right there, but I thought,
Right.
I need to be sure before I say anything about this. So the next morning, I called someone who was familiar with the person who sent the email that I found that in, and that person, another of our committeemen, that committeeman confirmed that they were the same people. That in fact, those people that had contributed were the ones that got those subcommittee chairs. And then actually I contacted Jeff and he was kind enough to look up the contribution records on what's called a D2 form to confirm the donations and the amounts. In fact, the one donation from one of those officials came out of the checking account of his law firm. So
Interesting.
Yeah, so it kind of looks like that maybe that's the marketing plan for his law firm.
Interesting.
So anyway, this is an obvious conflict of interest,
Right.
an apparent quid pro quo. And
Well,
there's
it would
no
appear that way, right?
Pardon?
I mean, it would appear that way.
Yeah, I said
who-
apparent.
yeah, yeah. No, but I mean, that's an important point. Like, we don't have to prove that. We invite people to take a look. Mm-hmm. A happened, then B happened, right? I mean, we're not
very close together.
just making an observation.
Very
right?
close together.
Right? Because that's important, because I get tired of people saying, well, there's no evidence. You know, we have the Biden corruption issue right now. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. I don't care. Look at, it's not good that it's so, connected.
They had far less evidence on everything they did to Trump.
Right.
Absolutely.
And are still doing.
So, okay. So, you did your homework here.
I did my homework, verified things, and then I started talking to some other committeemen. And for the following meeting in June, I wrote up a proposal for a motion to censure the two officials who had made the donations.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm not so much concerned about the money as far as even DuPage County politics go. It's piddling amounts.
It's the principle.
Well, not just the principle, but what are they giving in return in the terms of what they do in that role?
What's the quid pro quo?
Yeah, for example, one of those people is the subcommittee chair for public health. So then he's beholden to the Democrats anytime they want to say quarantine us, put in mask mandates, mandate vax passes in the county, all that
interesting.
stuff.
These are interesting observations.
Yes, and then the other one is committee of the, chair of the airport commission,
Okay.
county airport commission. No opportunity to make money off of that. I mean,
Well, look, in Illinois, we know that quid pro quo is how politics is done, right? I mean, Mike Madigan had power for 40 years, and we all know about his patronage army and his law firm who handled the property tax disputes while he was the most powerful Democrat in the history of state politics. So it's no secret that that's the standard, not the aberration. So now, after all that, right? You get your homework done, and you print up this, and I saw it. It was it was well thought out. It was well researched, and you brought that to one of our
to the June meeting.
To the June meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so what happened there?
So during the new business portion, I asked to be able to come to the stage and bring up an item, and I was granted that that privilege.
Now, Scott, and Jeff, can you back me up on this? The reason he was able, because Scott has been a stand-up committeeman for this organization for many years. He's trustworthy. Everybody likes him. He's respected.
I didn't give that part of the background.
Okay.
I've been more than just a committeeman. I've been an area chair. I also ran I also coordinated our canvassing, coordinating who goes to which precinct to distribute literature, knock on doors. Also running the Nerve Center during Election Day, where I'm coordinating poll watchers and getting reports and passing on concerns to the state's attorney.
So you put in the
DuPage County.
work. You've given a lot to the organization.
Yeah.
And so you were trusted to go up there and say your piece.
Yes.
Okay. And so how'd that go?
Basically, I made my case that, hey, public records show that these two Republican officials contributed to the Democrat official, the Democrats' campaign fund, and in close proximity to when they achieved their subcommittee chairs. that had to be approved by Democrats. It's a conflict of interest and an apparent quid pro quo, and there's no innocent and benign explanation for it. And I call for a vote to censure the two of them, and then also vote no confidence on the DuPage County Republican chair for trying to quash Republicans expressing concerns.
I mean, that is a perfect description. Now, and Scott, can you explain to us a little bit a censure? Censure, censure.
It's basically just a motion to call for a vote so that would say our township organization disapproves of what they've done.
Right. It's a slap on the wrist. It's a public admonishment of political behavior, right? Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now the no confidence is a different. Can you explain that one a little bit?
Well, basically, in my mind, if this guy is going to spend his or use his authority and his position in the party to shield people who are having conflicts of interest and apparent quid pro quo, how do we have any confidence in such a person?
Right, right. So now, all right, now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts here. What can you describe the chairman's reaction to this?
He was pissed.
To say the least.
That's to say the least. I mean, and Terry and I weren't at this one. We followed up, obviously. We've talked about that on the podcast before. But were you surprised about his reaction? I mean, it seemed to me from hearing it third hand was that he was taken off. He was taken aback.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, and so his first reaction was to what?
To say that he would not allow a vote on it.
He would not allow a vote. Now, we've looked at the parliamentary rules. You were allowed to go and present your case. I can't imagine. I can't think of a reason why he would deny a vote besides the plenary authority of a chairman's position to say, I'm here, I'm in charge, I won't allow a vote on this. There may be, procedural reasons that he can do that, but I don't know. You give me your
the
thoughts
next
on
month,
that.
even he himself said that the bylaws are vague on that, and they aren't clear on a specific procedure for that.
Okay. So, Jeff, I want to bring you in for a minute before we're going to go to a commercial break for Illinois Freedom Alliance. What was so as you're watching this whole thing play out, had you ever seen this? This seemed like it was the beginning of a volcano,
That's
rumbling to explosion. What was your perspective on how all this went down?
Yeah, well, I think Scott has described it quite accurately, and I think Jack was really caught off guard and wasn't sure how to handle it. And, he has other people and loyalties outside the organization that he obviously was mindful of and didn't want to step on them either.
I'm gonna pause you there. We're gonna go to commercial. I want you to expound on that opinion there after we come back. So, Jason, can we go ahead and run that Illinois Freedom Alliance commercial? All right, welcome back. So, all right, Jeff, you so you said something interesting before we went to break there. I was asking you about your perspective on what that looked like from the outside. This challenge that you probably hadn't seen too much of in the past. And
No, I've never actually seen anything quite like that.
Now you had said that the chairman might have had some alliances that he had to protect, some political relationships. Can you expound on that a little? Give me I mean, we both worked with him, so that's
Right.
We
Right.
understand where he's coming from, but why don't you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, DGTRO is not just a separate entity unto itself. It's a part of the county organization and part of the state, for that matter.
Right.
And there's a lot of players involved, and the township chairmans basically have to answer to a higher authority. The county chairman who answers to the state, organizations. So I think, Jack was probably a little bit caught off guard and wasn't quite sure how he needed to handle this and keep all the players and pieces,
Elected officials
and
happy.
elected
right.
officials happy. And, I have to kind of, sympathize with his position
Sure.
there to some
Sure.
extent, But the aftermath has been very, very poorly handled.
Volatile. Well, and Scott, and I want to bring you back in, but the point. This is the point. There's these alliances. There's been these loyalties. Political loyalties has been created, and all that Terry and I have been trying to talk about is the fact that but you're telling us red or dead, but these people aren't acting like Republicans, right? When you donate to a Democrat, when you donate to a Soros funded a district attorney, when you're indignant about doing so, when you're told to just be a plebeian in the background and don't challenge the Republicans who are in power. I mean, what you were doing, right, was to say, like, look, we have to have some standards here. Am I right?
Yes. Well, even before, I think it was just after the April meeting, all those roles I had talked about earlier, I had resigned all of those except for continuing to be an elected committeeman. And the reason for that is I was feeling more and more like I was just a cog in a machine that was going in a different direction than the one I wanted to go in the first place. And it seemed to me that the party was just looking to promote candidates and elected officials who aspired to be junior members of the uniparty by making a pit stop in Republican primary.
Right.
And
well
I feel
said.
that way even stronger after
Well
what
said.
we've learned the last few months.
Well, and look, if we're going to be a party, who wants to challenge a communist agenda, we have to stand on principle. If we can't stand on principle because we're engaging in the same tactics as Democrats, like pay for play, quid pro quos, corruption in general. I mean, Illinois, I saw an Illinois policy article that said that from 2000 to 2017, corruption in Illinois cost Illinois taxpayers $550 million a year. In that period of time, that's a total of over $9 billion. So there's a lot of different issues that we have to solve, right? Crime, education, high taxes, economic issues all over the board. But unless we solve the corruption problem, then we're not going to get anywhere. And we have to start in our own backyard. So
Well, I would go even deeper than that because as committeemen, we're charged with going to our friends and neighbors and persuading them to come out and vote for Republican.
Right.
So how do you do that when the Republican elected officials we have just do the Democrats' dirty work for them or go right along with it and have Republican fingerprints on everything bad that happens in this state?
Well, I can't think of a better way to end this segment of our show. And Scott, I want to thank you for all the hard work you've done as a committeeman for the Downers Grove Township Republican Organization. I want to thank you for standing up to the machine and pointing out the corruption that was obvious. And I want to thank you for coming on the show today and speaking out against that stuff, because that's what we're doing this for. We want to invite committeemen, citizens, anybody who wants to come here and express their First Amendment rights. So, Scott, thank you again.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate
Scott,
it.
I had the pleasure of working a lot with you last year on the election and everything, and it was a pleasure and a privilege to work with you.
We had a lot of fun.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Well,
In
we'll have
spite
you,
of what's going on.
And we're still having fun.
we'll have you back on if it's okay with you, Scott.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to move on to the second segment of our show, which is the bombshell segment of our show. It's going to be pretty interesting, and we're going to bring in Eileen Chick Briner. If you could come in and take Scott's seat here, Chick.
Do I wear these?
Yeah.
Yes, you will. And
Yeah.
yeah, do you have them on the right? Let's see, left and right. Are they right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
You
good.
got it? Okay. Well, hey, welcome, Chick.
Oh, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I mean, I'm a first timer here,
Yeah,
and this
yeah,
is just.
yeah.
I'm really super excited about being
Excellent.
doing this.
We're very excited to have you. You're joining for probably the biggest bombshell segment we've had in the show in the 12 episodes we've had. So that being said, Chick, you're
Right.
you're a committeeman for Downers
Right.
Grove Township Republican Organization and area chair. Can you please introduce yourself? Give us your
Okay.
background, how you got involved, all that good stuff.
Okay, great. Yeah. I became a precinct committeeman 2018, 2016, something like that. And last year they asked me if I would run for Area Chair 5. And I had nothing to lose, no ego going on it. I went against Greg Bolts, which was a really big, well-known target
The
in Downers Grove
Township assessor.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I said, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, move over a little.
So
there
I
you go.
said, yeah, I'll do it. I got
Yeah.
nothing to lose. I have
Yeah.
no fears here. So it
I backed
was,
you in that one, Chick. I backed you in that one.
Oh, good. Well, because the committee wanted Bolts out because he was difficult to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought me in, and I think they thought I was going to be a malleable
Right,
tool
right.
in the chest.
Oh boy, did they have that wrong.
Yeah, they sure did. They sure did figure out, that I'm my own person. I
Mm-hmm.
speak for my people, my friends, my
You sure do,
beliefs.
yeah.
I speak for my beliefs. And it has, ruffled some feathers because I've backed you guys and I've just stood for the truth. And Monday night, are we going to segue into
Well, yeah. So
Monday night?
and we appreciate your support, and I can affirm that Chick isn't just going along to get along. She speaks her mind with us as well. So it's refreshing to have someone like that to work with. It's refreshing to have someone like that represent an area of the Downers Grove Township Republican Organization, because Chick over here had the guts to go to a leadership meeting the other day and video record what was going on. So I'll give you a brief description of what happened. That actually, you know what, Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened recently? Explain what these meetings are and what happened, and lead into it, if you will.
Yeah, well, they have the organization has a monthly leadership meeting, and that's the executive meeting, the area chairs, plus the officers of the organization. And I believe they had canceled the December meeting, and then a few days later, I believe it was, it was on again, and the chairman, Novak, couldn't attend, but he had a special message that he said was important for everybody to hear, and he was having Sheriff Mendrick deliver the message for him, which I thought, well, that's really odd, because by all rights, the vice chairman should, step in for the chairman when
Sure.
In his absence, and
Which
if there
is
was
in
a
our
message-
bylaws, I believe.
It's in the bylaws. And while the vice chairman did officiate the meeting somewhat, she was not given the task of delivering the chairman's message.
Right.
And the chairman's message basically was related to the events surrounding the controversy with the dossier.
Our opposition to a doxing packet that was put out with the approval of Republican officials in DuPage County and the Township Republican Organization that was exposing Terry Newsom's family, his address, his children, his mother, his father, his background, and associating him with sex offenders. This is the type of upstanding representation you have in Illinois from the Republican Party. So, with that,
It was a cowardly piece. There was no
It was.
originator on. We didn't know who. There was no name on it. Who originated? Who was saying this stuff? That's cowardly.
it is cowardly.
Yes, and nobody will admit to it. But back to the chairman's message that was delivered by Sheriff Mendrick. The message was basically.
Well, we're gonna let's let him speak for himself. We're gonna go ahead and play that video. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
well, I just wanted to make one comment
sure.
about.
I don't want you to give too much away. You know.
I'm not going to talk
Okay,
about
okay.
the substance of
Sure,
it, but
sure.
it was essentially a rather meaningless, toothless rant by the chairman
Right.
that he tasked the sheriff, who was all too, enthused to do for him.
Right.
Delivered by him. And the only reason I can see that he did that was to give it the imprimatur of the Sheriff's Department of DuPage County.
Well, yeah. So let's let him speak for himself. So, Jason, you want to go ahead and play the first? Now this is going to be kind of a long video. It's 5 minutes long, but we you know what? We're going to let the elected officials speak for themselves.
Because it's going to be more like a report. Are we recording this?
Yes.
Somebody record her, please.
Okay.
Yeah. City, stand up, get her on camera, and record her while she records me. Let's be fair about it.
Sure,
Yeah, let's be fair.
no problem.
her while she records
Okay, so my presence was requested by the chairman to give an informational report on an assignment. He asked me to represent that. Is my good side?
Sure.
Thanks, Chick. Right.
They're both good
Appreciate it.
sides.
Chick.
Good job, Chick.
So anyway, he asked me to represent. This isn't a Q&A, and this is anything that's going to be voted on. So let's put it this way. Photographs of an elected official from our township were being sent to people via smartphone text message technologies that appeared to be generated from the security system belonging to Ashiana Bank. It's located at 75th Wilmette. Chick, you're aware this is where we have our meetings, right? Our DuPage County Republican Township meetings?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So these photos show the arrival time of one particular elected official, and several photos copied from Ashiana security systems were garnered and distributed without township or personal permission by the person who's being videotaped. Chairman Novak said that he briefly spoken to Ashiana management about who and why our event videos or pictures were given out. Then he asked me to speak to management on his behalf since he had to take a trip out of town. I spoke to Ashiana manager, owner, and asked him if he disseminated videos or pictures from our recent meeting to any third parties, and he made many apologies, but did in fact affirm that he distributed video and or photograph material of our members arriving for our last monthly meeting to a third party. Gotcha? Vic, you got it?
I got it on
Okay.
video.
Great, thank you. So this meeting was one of our township members, and they said that the reason they provided the photos to somebody was that they had a close relationship to a member of our township organization. They also stated that would never happen again, that they've trained all their security staff to only furnish security video to law enforcement authorities for investigation of crimes from now on. I mean, I couldn't even ask them for that video. I wasn't working as a police officer. I was assigned by Jack to go ask questions about Ashiana. So the meeting then concluded. Jack Novak told me that when he spoke to Ashiana management, they also affirmed, apologized, and claimed staff were not trained to, or were trained to not repeat this behavior, but then told Chairman Novak that if the videos and or photos of our event were given to a different one of our township members. So therefore, without a further formal investigation, which I can't be part of because what I recommend is the aggrieved parties make a police report with the Downers Grove Police Department, then videos can be captured by the proper methodologies, proper statements, proper interviews could be made. That's the path that you should take if you feel aggrieved for this.
Sorry, you don't.
So
own
it
Ashiana's,
cannot be
buddy.
definitively determined which of these two of our members it actually was who obtained our township
how did they know it was
videos
two
and or
members?
photographs. So, you know, and allowed them to be distributed and disseminated via smartphone text messaging technology. But it has been established and affirmed that the Downers Grove Township
affirmed.
Republican Organization images were indeed given out to third parties, time stamping
given
the
out.
arrival times of at least one elected official.
Look out, they were time
Right,
stamped.
Chick? Right?
Chick?
So, Ashiana pledged it would never happen again, and that staff have now been properly trained to never repeat this behavior.
Oh, he
I
had
was
the
tasked
staff
with this due
trained.
to some members having
Is there a
understandable
crime here?
security concerns with attending any future events at this location,
Security
prior to making a
concerns.
commitment with them for the December 11th Christmas party. So I would also like to raise that I have some of those same safety concerns myself at that
I'm sure
location.
you do,
I wouldn't
Sheriff.
feel comfortable going back there with those same security concerns. I mean, they're time stamping elected officials. Their monthly meetings are regular
It's a
meetings.
security
So
camera.
if somebody could ambush you, if somebody has a grudge with you, I mean, if whoever took the video and the photos, why would you want the timestamp? Because
did with their
I will
security
definitely
cameras.
say that after viewing the photos that were being disseminated on text messages, they're all out in the lobby. None are even in the affected area. And the verbiage that accompanied these pictures
The
was
public area.
completely unwarranted to do this to a particular elected official who, by video evidence, has done absolutely, I don't want to get in the picture for this, has done absolutely nothing wrong, is being accused by somebody inappropriately, and they're illegally obtaining our images
Wrong.
from Ashiana Banquet
Not
Security.
illegal.
So that is my informational report for you.
Okay.
That is what we're dealing with at that location. So thank
All right,
you,
we can go
Chick
to close
Reiner.
it. So
That
I want
concludes my
to
report.
address some of this clown's BS.
He never mentioned a statute that was broken.
No, there's no crime there.
First, well, let's start with the beginning. The way he's standing, he's walking around, he's talking down to the seated people. The way that he addressed you, Chick, I thought was completely disrespectful. You're well within your right to videotape that entire conversation. So let's start.
Well,
let's dig
number
into
one,
this.
I have it from Bob Berlin that elected officials have no expectation of privacy in a
Right.
public place.
Absolutely. Well,
And
absolutely.
Ashiana's is a public place. So I don't
Well,
know
it's a
what
private
he's...
business, so I'm
But
pretty
it's the
sure
lobby.
they can share whatever they want.
They can.
with whoever they want.
I've
Right,
worked in
and it's-
businesses with surveillance cameras, and we can do anything we want.
Right. Okay. So what
and
I want
timestamp, they're all
I know.
timestamped. I mean, he made such
He
a big
doesn't
deal
even-
about the timestamp.
He did. I didn't
they
understand
didn't
it.
like the timestamp, so he made a big deal about it. But they're all timestamped.
because it was a security camera. What are you talking about?
We have Ring doorbells all over the
Right,
place.
right.
And everyone has basically the same sort of thing, and it's timestamped.
So
and we
let's-
can do
do they have
anything
this-
we want.
I got a
Do they, have this
video.
kind, do they have that kind of technology in the sheriff's
Yeah,
office?
let's cover some bullet points, okay? I want to get your comments on these. All right, the chairman asked the sheriff to deliver a report at a township Republican organization leadership meeting.
Well, that's what I told you. He wants it to have
Okay.
the imprimatur of law
Authority,
enforcement,
right?
of
Law
the sheriff's
enforcement,
department.
right? Talk about abuse of power. Okay,
Oh.
so now the sheriff was assigned by the chairman of a partisan supposed Republican organization to question a private business owner about his private interactions with another patron. Excuse
got
me.
them to apologize?
I think this needs to be
I
investigated.
think
I
it
do
does
too.
too.
Did the sheriff go? Did the sheriff go there as a sheriff? And what exactly did he say? I mean, he mentioned something about having the staff trained. Excuse me. I don't know what the details of getting the security footage are, but they're a private business, Sheriff. They can share with whomever they want, whatever they want. Okay? You and every other person in the Downers Grove Township Republican Organization chooses to patronize that business. And again, to your point, Chick, What did you say earlier about public
What
officials?
statute was broken?
Right.
He cited nothing.
No, he said nothing.
No crime was committed that he stated. If there was something wrong, then cite it. Tell us exactly what law was broken.
Exactly, because he said there was images illegally obtained.
Wrong.
Check again, buddy.
And that's
You're a
why-
sheriff? So let me. I don't believe he's that stupid. What I believe is he's standing up there, skulking around and talking down to people. That he's just trying to intimidate them.
Well, that's why I said earlier that this is a toothless, meaningless rant by the chairman that he wished to give the imprimatur of the sheriff's department, and the sheriff was only too eager to oblige him with that. It was an abuse of his office. He demeaned himself and he demeaned his office.
I think, bravo. I
felt
totally agree
he
with
was
you, Joe.
being very intimidating to.
Not to you, Chick. You didn't take that
Well,
crap.
he was trying to intimidate me.
You did a great job. I mean,
No,
you did.
he
did a
tried
great
to
job.
intimidate me, and he was misogynistic for sure.
We didn't even get to the best part yet.
yeah. So I want to let's go ahead and play another clip because this is super interesting. Jason, can you go to? Can you get us to 7 minutes 10 seconds, and we're gonna play to 10 minutes 10 seconds.
It essentially took over the whole meeting.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And we didn't have a vice chairman that could,
Right.
that could control the meeting.
Here we go. Oh, that's okay. We'll get to. You can fast forward. Yeah. No big deal. No big
I
deal.
think we're losing the elephant in the room.
Bingo.
The elephant in the room is,
Yeah, make sure you get her close up on this one. No, she's
Yeah.
on video.
I'm taking it too.
Good.
The elephant in the room is the dossiers that were put on the tables on one precinct committeeman, Terry Newsom. Who put them together?
I have no idea.
Who
So,
printed them?
oh, you know what?
And who
You're- if you're-
disseminated them?
If you're asking me, you're going to let me answer, Chick Reiner.
Yes.
So, I have no idea, but so it all started because somebody stole our Downers Grove Township email list, right? So I never gave permission for my email list to
nobody
be
stole
transferred
it.
to any third party, but it was. So I get a weird email
Liar. He's a
about
liar.
one of our members
Called
dressed
me a
up like a
liar in that
Nazi.
meeting.
And I messaged back when I got it, said Nazis are inappropriate. Don't send me this stuff. It's tasteless. That's it. I couldn't even get this person to agree that Nazis are bad.
Liar.
Wait a minute.
So no. You're gonna let me finish, Chick Reiner.
Oh, here we go.
So
I don't think you let me finish,
Chick,
though.
You are not going to interrupt my sentences.
I
I'm
will
answering
then
answering
get
your
time
question.
to
I'm
finish
answering-
my
fine.
statement
I'm
because you
answering
broke
your
into my
question.
statement.
No, you asked me a question. I'm trying to answer it.
This
These
guy's a
antics
shit.
don't
I
work with me.
didn't. I
These antics
didn't
don't work
get
with me.
to
Stop
finish
it.
my
Stop
statement.
It. Stop it. Stop it.
No.
If the
You're
meeting
using.
can
I
get
did not
to
get
an-
to finish my
I'm
statement.
answering your question.
I didn't have a
Why are
question
you pointing
for
at me
you.
like that?
I took it as a rhetorical
That's
question.
aggressive.
I did too.
Very aggressive behavior, Chick. You need to calm down.
You're yelling at me.
I'm trying to calm you down, Chick.
I wanted to make a statement,
Well, once
and
you
it
make
wasn't
the statement,
a
can I answer?
question. But my statement was not finished, and you jumped in. And I didn't ask you a question directly.
You're looking at me, pointing at me. You're asking me a question.
No, I did not
Yes, you are.
ask
You're pointing
Jim.
at me like this while you raise your
Jim,
voice. And
I
you're looking
did
at me.
not ask you a question. You jumped in and usurped the conversation.
Is a
I
question ever
want to
come?
finish my
Well,
statement.
now you're gonna pound the table. Go ahead.
Would you stop?
No,
You're being aggressive.
I'm trying to.
No, you are.
Okay, Chick, finish whatever. You're
Okay,
you're trying to
thank
stop
you.
my answer.
I want.
You're trying to
want
stop my
my
answer. I get it.
tap.
You don't want to hear it.
I
don't-
want to know the elephant in the room.
As he
Is-
walks out.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if you'd let me finish, this is my entire knowledge of it.
Good one, Chick.
After the Nazi comment, and I started getting attacked on social media, somebody got so mad at Terry Newsom that they put a whole thing in my mailbox and other people's mailboxes with some truth finder stuff. You know what? I don't know what your criminal history is. There's no way I would use work tools for that. Somebody used a website, researched him, and put it in a bunch of our mailboxes. So how is that my fault? I have nothing to do with that. I
did not accuse you.
did not even know who Terry Newsom was 1 month ago. He's a nobody.
If you caught that at the end, he said he's nobody. Now, here we go. So, every one of these supposed Republican leaders, including that blowhard,
Sheriff.
intimidating sheriff, said that they had nothing to do with the doxing packet, that they didn't know where it came from, and all they've done is contradict themselves afterwards. So they don't know where it came from. They never saw it beforehand. That was the key. They all said they never saw it beforehand. The first thing they heard of it was when it was on the tables at our meeting. Now we have this guy on tape admitting the packets were delivered to mailboxes, and he knew that they were done by that Truth Finder website.
What about his email saying he was
And-
going us to do that?
Exactly. Yeah. So okay.
Well, I think the sheriff thought to protest too much.
Hey, sheriff. Maybe stick to sheriffing. Every time you talk, it seems to go poorly for you. Okay. So now let me get your reaction to that too, because that was a more contentious back and forth between the two of
Right.
you.
Well, the thing that shocked me was there was no interest at all in getting to the bottom of who put this out on the table on a precinct committeeman. Where's this let's hang together, let's support one another? No, I was shocked no one was concerned about this being put on the table and how bad it was. It led me to believe that they were all complicit with it.
So I totally thought the same thing. And so one thing I want to point out on that, we showed the earlier clip where the sheriff was saying like, well, if they're going to show this security footage to people, then we with timestamps when we're going to be there, well, I have concerns about safety. And yet I didn't hear any one of these officials, including the sheriff, say anything about being concerned about a doxing packet being passed around about a committeeman's background with his family, including his mother, his father, his
daughter,
children, his young children, his teenage children's names on it with the address of it being passed around. So, Sheriff, I got a question for you. If you're concerned about some security footage in a private text message, you're not concerned about a packet, some random person that you don't know who it is, coming into a meeting that you guys are supposed to be in control of, leading, and none of you know who came in and passed around this packet. So how are we supposed to feel safe as committeemen if any person who's willy-nilly can walk into our organization's meeting and pass around doxing packets with our children's names on it and our addresses? You're a disgrace. You are involved in this in some way because there's tons of evidence pointing that way, and you're contradicting yourself in every way possible because you keep opening your mouth and saying stupid things, and you're threatening people. Okay,
Well, and
you
there was-
threatened me in that meeting, and we got it on tape, and there are eyewitnesses. All right, so this guy is just stepping in all over the place, and he's
There was no
not a-
concern about investigating. I went on and asked, I want to know. I want to question everyone who arrived at this meeting from 6 to 6:15 and see what they know, what they saw, gather the information. Zero interest in doing anything like that. This is what I mean by the elephant in the room.
Right.
This was the real harm package, but they weren't interested in investigating that.
Bingo. And what was the meeting about? What was the meeting about? The meeting was about the fact that some security footage was obtained to try to find out if
They
if
wanted
you-
to put this all to bed because they knew we're investigating and we're looking into it, and they wanted the strong arm of Jim Mendrick
Yeah, he's gone from
to
being-
shut it all down.
He's
got a
gone
question
from
for you.
sheriff to political enforcer.
Right.
That's what he's gone from.
I got a question for you, Sheriff. You mean to tell me you wouldn't, as a private citizen, not as a sheriff, want to know who might be passing around information with your address on it, with your family's names on it? So you're what? You're holding a meeting to say that that person's wrong for trying to figure out who might be attacking him and his family? So that's the wrong thing. The person whose family was attacked, with a doxing packet. The person who was smeared by associating him with sex offenders in his neighborhood. Your position, let me just get this straight, Sheriff. Your position is that that person should be punished for trying to investigate who might be smearing his reputation. What kind who you know what
They
kind of
don't care
person are
about
you?
the
What kind of
committeeman.
person are you?
They're not concerned about the committeeman. Their concern is for the elected officials.
Well, that's
we
right.
must protect the elected officials.
absolutely right. And we're
the
running-
committeemen don't matter at all. We'll smear
plebeians.
whoever we
We're just supposed to
the
do what we're
plebeians.
told. We're just supposed
Right.
to do. Well, we're not going to do what we're told anymore, okay? We're going to have people here every week speaking their mind because you won't let them do it. And then when they try to protect themselves, you suggest that they're the ones in the wrong. You're abusing your power.
Big abuse of power.
This is a defunct organization, and there are public officials who are clearly abdicating their responsibility and are not fit to sit in the office that they sit in. Jason, I want to play the last clip. We're going to go to minute 10:45 and only play to 11:41. I just want to get the last piece of evidence for you. This pathetic leadership team.
Yeah, it's gonna screw up again.
Well, that's okay.
Because this is going to be more like a report.
You're all good.
Are we recording?
We'll
Yes.
wait for this juicy content.
10:45.
10:45.
Was a
Oh, you're not talking to me,
dossier
obviously.
disseminated at this meeting on one of our precinct committeemen that was very disturbing. It was, no, it was police reports from 35 years ago with his, but it's 35 years ago. What was the point of putting this out on the table along with his father's name and a criminal offense for his father from 1990, his mother's name, his mother's age,
So that justifies
his
bad
daughter's name,
what's the point? None
and
of us know
age.
who
What we
did it.
need to find out
You're good. You can
who
cut it
put
there.
this
That's exactly what
together
I needed to hear.
and put
right
it
there,
out on the
this
table
justifies bad
to
behavior.
be read
Let's-
by everyone.
Let
This
him
was
cut it. Okay, hold 1 second, Chick, because I want to recap here before we get into this last part, because we're gonna cut here and we got another commercial run in a minute. Okay, so I just want to recap for everybody again. So this woman in the video we just watched is saying it's factual. Okay, Chick was saying, "What's the point of this packet?" Right, and she's saying twice that it's factual. Okay, and the sheriff is saying he doesn't know who did it. But I thought that they didn't know about it. They didn't know anything about it. So again, let's recap. It was put in your mailbox ahead of time. Somehow you know it's factual, but none of you know who did it. I mean, somebody's lying.
It's
Well, they
strange.
gotta know
Somebody's
who put
lying.
it in there. Who put it in their mailboxes?
Well, yeah, right. Now, what are we talking about? Put it in the mailbox. Is it coming
Who
from? Is
sent
it an
it
email?
to them? They
You
know. They know who sent it to them.
And the woman in that video, it's factual. It's factual. Oh, but I thought you knew nothing about it. Clearly, you read it, didn't you, Lorraine?
She knows it's factual.
You know it's factual. Did you put it together, Lorraine? Did you pass it out? You said later in that video that you and Larissa were the first people at the meeting. These people are a joke. They're trying to smear a man's reputation simply for standing up for Republican principles, for standing up for kids, for trying to point out corrupt Republicans. They are lame duck. You have a chairman who's sending a sheriff to intimidate elected officials. Okay? This organization is a joke. It's time for new leadership. It's time for a new approach. It's time to take back Illinois. Terry's got a national platform. He's got a national presence. And we're coming after all these corrupt Republican officials. And we're going to play our second commercial for Illinois Freedom Alliance. And it's going to be about the hand count that's going to be going on. Because obviously, we all know there's some issues with our elections.
Hello, fellow grassroots patriots. This is Jennifer from Illinois Freedom Alliance. We are pushing to get rid of those voting machines. We can do this, but we need your support. Haines County is easy, it's cheap. Don't let those Dems tell you otherwise. Please come to our demo Tuesday. You can RSVP at ifa.volunteers@outlook.com. That's ifa.volunteers@outlook.com.
We back. All right. Well, thank you to Illinois Freedom Alliance and all the hard work that you're doing. That's obviously, I think we all agree here that we need to at least take a look at what's going on in our elections. I mean, look, I don't want to get caught up in that conversation, but we're all aware that Illinois is one of the more corrupt states in the union. I just explained earlier about how much it's costing taxpayers in that study, and I believe that study also showed that Illinois is the second most corrupt state, politically corrupt state in the union, along with Chicago being the number one corrupt city in America. So, again, thank you to Illinois Freedom Alliance. Please support them. We've got to fix our elections. We've at least got to get our eyes on that and get some honest people looking into that. So, reach out to them via that email and support them because they're doing yeoman's work. Okay, so we're gonna move into our next segment. I want to just, all that being said, I want to just get a little bit of a background and a perspective from both of you on how in the world did we get here, right? I mean, I know that Terry and I, our involvement has kind of pushed this in a different direction, but I know that both of you have a rich history in this organization and your involvement. So, Chick, why don't you kind of give me a perspective about what your experience has been politically, how it relates to what's going on in our country, in our state, and what we're dealing with here at
I
this
named
level.
this the dossier because I see this as a political hit piece on a lower level, but exactly like the dossier on Trump, to take him down. It was all lies. And this piece on Terry was, again, a political hit piece they thought, well, we'll take him down. Well, they're dealing with more than they know, that they are not going to take him down with something like this. It energizes rather than take somebody down. And I
I
still
think we
want to
proved that's
get,
what it's doing for us, right?
I still want to know who, what, when, where, and we know the why. But I want to know all the different parties involved in this. I still want an investigation into who had their hands on this dossier.
I agree with you. I think it's...
And I don't know that we will get that. We should continue to push for the opportunity to find out what and how this was printed, who printed it, and who brought it to the meeting. Somebody brought that into the meeting, and somebody put it out on the table.
Somebody was holding the candlestick in the library and had the dead body underneath them, right? Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it appears that we've got our own little, local township Republican organization House of Cards on our hands here, Jeff. Give me a holistic perspective on, the vanilla experience up until this point. I mean, part of this has to be entertaining for you as you know.
Well, it is to some extent. You start to get involved in politics, and I think I've told you before. I was kind of shamed into it by my wife. After railing against what's going on, she said to get involved, and I have gotten involved. But you start to get involved. And I haven't been involved, that long as an elected committeeman.
Mm-hmm.
But you have this naive feeling that your little corner of the political world is good and wholesome, and people are out there trying to do the right thing, and trying to work together well. And then when something like this happens and you see how ugly people can get and how quickly it can get ugly, it kind of...
Politics is a blood sport.
It is a blood sport. And, you know, if you don't start hitting back, you're just going to be, you know, cast to the wayside. And
Well, I would like to say that as far as the Downers Grove Township organization, 98% of the people are good, wholesome. It's
I would
a
agree.
good political organization. I like the people that are hardworking. The committeemen
sure.
are hardworking.
For sure.
We've gotten some bad elements in here.
Corruption.
And for whatever reason, I don't know the answer, but they're sabotaging other people,
Power. The lust for power.
I guess.
Well, you know, I would say that, again, you know, I talked about the Madigan effect. I think, you know, we're at a situation, I talk about this all the time. So, you know, we have a 78 to 40 deficit in the House of Representatives in Illinois, of 40 to 19 deficit in the state Senate. We've lost the last two governorships, and we have representatives like State Senate Minority John Curran, who runs unopposed in a D+3, and Sean Caston, a radical congressman's backyard, radical left congressman's backyard, and advocates for Amendment 1, giving state constitutional authority to public unions that is going to be devastating for the taxpayer and the citizen of Illinois, because it's just an extension of the government. And right, that's what communists do. They grow the government, you know, control the means of production. And again, 7% of the population of Illinois are public or are state employees, and now they are getting plenary power. And you know, that is the path to communism. We have a leader, a supposed leader in our party in Illinois, who not only voted for that but advocated for it, and took money from teachers' unions, and won't speak out against the sexualization and the indoctrination of our children. So why are we going after Republicans? Well, because they're not Republicans, and they don't stand for conservative values, and they don't stand on principle. And hell, I'm not perfect, and neither is Terry, but we are fighters. And my opinion is that the first brick of the foundation of politics is the local township organization. And call me an idealist, but I believe that we start there and we move up. If we have a compelling message, people will listen. I'll tell you what, it seems like people in our own local organization are listening. And I'll tell you another thing. There's people at the national level that are listening to Terry Newsom, because he's on a new national show every day. He can't even keep his schedule book straight. There's so many people that want to talk to him. He's on Newsmax. He's on OANN. He's on RSBN, Steve Bannon's network. He's with Diamond and Silk. He's with Tom Renz, right? He's with all these patriots who have these national followings of millions of people. So I got news for you, Illinois. That's coming to your backyard. We're taking over the Republican Party because they're not using it. And I've always said
there isn't much of a party left.
There's not much of
over.
a party. And look, hey,
That's one of the problems.
I'm a military veteran. I was an artilleryman. What we call this is combat ineffective. The Republican Party has become combat ineffective. They need to be removed from the battlefield. Okay, and they're going to be removed from the battlefield. We're going to start with Terry Newsom and how he spearheaded this movement. I'm right behind him. I support him all the way. These people support us. We stand for conservative values. We stand for the principles that founded this country, and we're going to fight. We're going to fight people like the sheriff in our county, like the chairman of our Republican organization, and the rest of that leadership. And we're not going to stop until they get out of our way and let us take the reins and let us be the voice of a new movement.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to say, not all our candidates are corrupt or bad candidates.
nobody,
There
we
are-
got to walk and chew gum, right?
Right. There are candidates that I am going to strongly back.
Absolutely.
And in my precinct, I'm going to work really hard to get Aaron Porter elected, and
That's a must, right?
right, and Baron Leacock for District 2 for the county board. there are good candidates out there, and
Absolutely.
we do have to support them. But some of this leadership has to quit playing footsie with the other side.
Oh, you just
We
gotta get
have
rid
to
of 'em.
speak up and be different from the other side.
That's right. Well, we got to oppose them.
Yes,
they don't
we
even
have
oppose
to
them.
oppose them
Right?
and talk about our values and not succumb to the left in the idea of getting along. We have to work together.
Well, that's
no.
That DeCiani guy.
Yeah.
He exactly. That DeCiani guy. I'm going to run as a Democrat because the Republicans aren't Republicans. Okay, so the left has control of every institution. It's the right that's the problem. These people are idiots. They don't understand the Overton window. It's
Said
ridiculous.
Republicans aren't Republicans anymore, so I'm going to run as a Democrat.
As a Democrat, right? So,
What does that mean about
Thus spoke of their Zarathustra. That the lust for power is strong with that one.
Let's give people a real choice. Let's give them something different, and let's.
Bingo, chick. The point here is that our government was built as a republic, a representative government that's supposed to represent their constituents. We no longer have a representative government for the citizens, for the people. We have a government at the national level, at the state level, and now we come to find out at the local level that does not represent the citizens. They represent themselves and special interests, and whoever is going to put money in their pockets. So that's where we're at. Look, I greatly appreciate both of you coming here and talking with me. Chick, we appreciate your contributions, how brave you were to stand up to such a tyrant.
You did a
such
great job.
And I just want to ask you to give some closing messages of encouragement.
Well, I still want an investigation into who put this dossier together, who printed it, who disseminated it onto the tables at that meeting. Those people need to be held accountable for that action. And it needs to be done, and to brush it under the rug still boggles my mind. He's concerned about elected officials' safety from a video that's time-stamped. Oh, my gosh. But someone who's defaming someone else for things that they did 35 years ago, and they've turned their life around and a totally different person today.
Fights for our children, which these cowards don't even have the guts
Right,
to
they
do.
don't have any care in the world about what's going on in our schools and libraries.
They just want to be in a social club.
Yeah, especially sheriff.
I'm here
that-
because I got a three-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I see what's going on in the schools.
Yeah.
And Terry is spearheading the movement, so I'm going to get behind him.
Yeah, well, and especially we have a sheriff that boasts of his program to
The
Rehabilitate.
the recidivism,
Right.
to reform inmates, and he boasts of his low recidivism rate. Well, he doesn't seem to think that
we have a
applies to people like
very
Terry.
good example, and he wants to demonize him.
That's a great point, Jeff. So just to reiterate the point that Jeff made, he brags about his recidivism of
inmates at his
jail. But apparently he doesn't think too highly of a former inmate of 35 years ago, Terry Newsom, who, by the way, is the only guy I know that sticks up for kids around here.
But to be fair, that was Cook County.
Cook County. Okay, yeah. Well, I take everything back. Well, again, I just want to say that I greatly appreciate both of your time and your efforts, and I would love to. I know I speak for Terry when I say I would love to have you back on the podcast, and I'm going to touch on a couple points real quick before we close here. So, one, there are senior GOP officials that are shocked and amazed that the sheriff is spending so much time going after, he says, nobody. Okay. Additionally, Terry got a call from someone and said he didn't even know who it was and had to ask me about it. I had to inform him that it was an elected Democrat official. So, because of the sheriff's unhinged behavior, the Democrats are now aware of the turmoil in the party. These people are incompetent. They don't know how to fight, and they need to step aside. The leadership in Downers Grove Township Republican Organization is lame duck. the leadership at the county level and at the state level is they're ghosts. They're not there. They're not fighting. They're not opposing. Okay. Last thing I want to say is we started this podcast for 3 reasons. To fight for our children and against communism invading Illinois and our country. Number 2, to put a national spotlight on what is happening in Illinois and the rhino problem in the Illinois Republican Party. This is something that Terry is working tirelessly to do in the national media. He's even guest hosting, as I mentioned earlier, a show on the Mike Lindell Network. And again, he will be at America Fest with Charlie Kirk, and he will be doing interviews on every one of those major Patriot networks, and he will be calling out by name the corrupt Republican officials in our township and our county, and we will be sharing all of that content with you as much as we possibly can. And 3, and perhaps most importantly, to give a voice to the people. The committeemen who work in the trenches for the candidates who have not served their best interests. It's time to change the approach. It's time to take back Illinois. We're going to do it by doing this, by speaking out, by using our First Amendment right, and we're going to keep the momentum going. So if you think you got rid of us with some intimidation, you've only strengthened us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of Behind Enemy Lines. Please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We're on Facebook. We're on Rumble. We are on Getter. We are on, what else?
I said sharing's very important.
Share. Please share. It's very important. We need to get this message out. I think we're doing a good job so far, but we could always improve. So send us your comments, your questions, and everybody have a great night and a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Every time we pull up, you see stars, you see stripes, you see flags on the cars and the trucks and the bikes. Every time we pull up, we go hard, we outside, we got flags on our arms that are tatted there for life. Every time we pull up, we don't care if you're mad, we cherish this land, the haters can't get buried in rags. They set fire to old glory, turning fabric to ash. But every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is a man.